All right, I have the pleasure of introducing our own LuAnn. She has been in the organization now for 16 years. She's been at the back of the room and been supporting our events. She's the little spark that gives everyone multiple hugs when you come in. She started the iHug movement to bring hugs across the United States with the belief that if we hug it out, we will be able to solve a lot of the world's problems. She, in her own right, as quiet as she has been over the years in the back, is a dynamo. She has written a book, 2 of them actually. One is I Hug, My Journey as a Hugger. And the other one is An Exceptional Care for Your Valued Clients, where she teaches people how to speak using positive words to their clients to be able to help lift them up and change their lives. She's been a 20-year member of BNI and has been supporting that group in profound ways. She's here because of Ivan, actually. He brought her in. She also is a trained passion test and business passion test coach. She has, the thing that I love the most is she's president of the Coaching Initiative, which is an organization that does pro bono coaching for nonprofit leaders. The thing, I met her on the very first meeting that she was there, and I was immediately drawn to her. We ended up spending 2.5 hours talking on a patio in Vail, the last time we had it here in Vail. And the thing that most stood out to me is her unbelievable amount of love for such a little tiny packed body. She exudes it everywhere. She is tenacious at making sure that you know that you're special. Her level of care about making sure that you have every single thing you need at this event is extraordinary. And she takes on the legacy of Guy Stickney, who, when he passed, allowed her to step up and shine. And one of the things that she is committed to is taking on his legacy of producing events for us that would make him proud. I would like to introduce to you LuAnn Buechler.
You gotta have a hug.
Go get him, little spark.
Whose phone's up here? Okay. I've been processing in my head all day what the first words were gonna be that came out of my mouth. And I thought I was gonna talk about the elephant in the room, because I'd be so damn nervous up here. And this feels good. This feels really good. All of you believe in the power of intention, right? Yeah. I set the intention 14 years ago to get on this stage, and here I am. Here you are. Thank you, Zen, for becoming my friend and blessing me with this opportunity, and Jack and Ivan, of course, for inviting me to this blessed organization. And so, this is my little image. I identify as a blonde, however, instead of the little dark-haired girl. And what Zen mentioned is the iHug movement. We're going to talk about that today, and hugs as a way of life. And what I've learned actually since becoming a member of the TLC is that lots of people in this world never get hugs. And they miss out on them. And they're sad and they're isolated and they're alone. And so every time you see people, even those strangers, well, Ivan would tell you to ask them first if you can give them a hug. I wear my button to warn them that I'm going to give them a hug. Okay? So it came to me in 2019 that I had to iHug across America because I hate the political environment that we live in today. Anybody else? Right? And it affects everything about our world. The negativity exudes into everything we do. No matter how much I try and avoid politics, it's out there and it's around us. And then we have things like this that just force it on us, right? And you can't get away from it. And that's bad enough out in the public and the negativity it spreads. But then when it spreads to your own family, that's when it really hurts. I come from a good Catholic family, 7 siblings, and when we were kids, we played a lot of board games, and we were competitive. And we loved to fight and banter through our board games. We even bought Mom a referee shirt and a whistle so that she could get control of us when we were out of hand. That was all in fun. And we enjoyed it, and we laughed, and we still laugh about it today, right? But today, when I go to holidays with my brothers and sisters, I see more of this fighting going on. And I have to be the referee to get in the middle of them and stop them for their political conversations and literally getting in each other's faces. And I really feel like that little girl, so sad that my family is struggling with each other that way, and we're falling apart. God bless them, my parents are no longer with us. They would be tormented by the way that we treat each other today. And I remember sitting at a lunch appointment with my sister, because I don't get to see her very often. And she had actually come to take over. I was caregiver for my mom for 7 years. And she actually came to take over and relieve me for a week. But we got an opportunity. We put Mom down for a nap, and we went out to lunch. And I thought, this is going to be really great. That's Mom. That's Mom. Thanks, Raymond. I actually love that happened. He can't get the lighter started. It's all those who have gone before me who are letting me know they're here with me. I asked them all day to be with me today. So anyway, there we go. Val will save the day.
See, they're not able to taste a bunch of that.
How many transformational leaders does it take? So anyway, my sister and I were out to lunch. Thought we were going to have a lovely lunch together, just the two of us. And the whole time, she sat looking at the television over my shoulder and reading the subtext of the news that was going on and reacting to that conversation. And she'd exclaim, what's the word? Swear. Right? All of that, and I looked at her and I said, really, come on, we don't get this kind of quality time together, just the two of us. Can you not look at the television? She's like, it's so important, LuAnn. Don't you want to know? And I'm like, no, I really don't want to know. I'm like, I understand you live in Washington, D.C. along with your kids, and you're deeply ingrained in the political arena. I get it. And you guys take care of that. I'm not living in Washington, D.C. I don't want to, okay? My job in this world is to spread joy. I found that purpose. My job in this world is to spread joy. So I'm going to take care of the joy part to combat what y'all are doing in Washington, D.C. So, let's step back. Did I go a little too far? So, what can we do? I've overheard many conversations of my transformational friends here in the room and others that I know around the country, and what can we do? We're transformational leaders. We should be fixing this problem, right? We should be combating this political polarization, and how can we do that? And the only thing that keeps coming to my head is do what we're already doing. That's our job. Do what we're already doing. Because we're combating that negative energy with all of our positive energy everywhere we are in the world. And do more of it if you've got the space and the bandwidth to do more of it, right? The only people we can change is ourselves, right? But we can attract other people into a conversation of changing the world through hugs or any other methodology that you use. And my conversation is hugs. And these are wonderful pictures from some of our past events. Our dear Scott in the middle of there. I had to share that with us all today to remember him. But just do more. Do more of what you're doing and keep doing what you're doing so that we keep changing the world, because we can do it with what we're doing. So it all began back in Vail in 2008. We were bantering last night about that date, but yes, it's 2008. It was my first TLC meeting here in Vail 16 years ago. all because of Dr. Ivan Meisner, who referred me in because he lives the philosophy of giver's gain and the essence of his organization, as do I. But he invited me in and I became an event planner. So I really was welcomed into the TLC as an event planner. And because I have a master's degree in hospitality administration, spent 15 years in the hotel business, so I know this industry, I know this world. And so I came and I went, okay, Guy, what do you want me to do? You want me to run registration? You want me to set up the room? What do you want me to do? I have all this experience. And he goes, no. You are a visitor here on this planet. And so all I want you to do, LuAnn, is observe what's going on and get to know these people. So I want you to hug everybody when they arrive, hug everybody when they leave, and just love them in between and do whatever they need to be done. I'm like, I got this. I can totally do this job. So easy. I'm like, they don't even know me, but it didn't matter. I just knew by the energy when they walked in the hotel who they were, right? And I'd welcome them and give them a hug. And it was the newer members that often became really close to me from the beginning. 2008 was Ray's meeting. Ray, are you in the room? Ray's first meeting. And I saw him walk off an elevator in a hallway, no one was around, and he looked like he was lost. And I was like, are you here for the TLC? He's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, big hug. He's like, I feel better already. Yeah, and we've been friends ever since. And so that's so important, right? Those hugs to welcome people in and make them feel comfortable. And so that began. And you know what happens when you're hugging people? They whisper wonderful things in your ears. It was, what's her name? Doreen Devine. She speaks to angels. Virtue. Thank you. I got the name wrong. She did a presentation on our stage in Hawaii. And she talked about how it's not these big booming voices from the clouds, it's those little whispers in your ear. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's what happens when people hug me. It's always good. Whatever they say and whisper in my ear is always good. And I literally was thinking about it in the shower and broke out laughing. I'm going, oh my gosh, those people are all my angels. How cool is that? These people are all my angels. So they started to encourage me to write a book about it. Some of the things people would say in my ear is, you're a master hugger, you're the best hugger, you're a great hugger, you should write a book about hugging. And it was only by the encouragement of all of you that I actually went and did that. So this is a reminder that Dr. Meisner is the one who invited me in, and again, he taught you all the philosophy of giver's gain. Do you know that? You do that here. You demonstrate his philosophy in everything you do. When you bring your books in and give them to everybody else, when you let people come to your programs, even if it's at a discount, right? You're all practicing giver's gain because of what Ivan has represented for us. And then I met Janet Bray Atwood here at the TLC. And Janet said, come do my program. And I said, okay, I'll come do your program. I actually took my 16-year-old daughter because Janet was starting the teen program, and she wanted teen leaders. And so I thought, what a great experience for mother and daughter to bond over a powerful transformational message. And it was so amazing that we really did. And she, too, is a passion test facilitator. At 16, she became a passion test facilitator. She's now a mental health therapist and still uses the tools with her clients when appropriate. And so I started to do events with Janet, no surprise, right? I like doing events. So I started doing events and managing events with Janet and Robert McPhee. Who all knows Robert McPhee? Right? Robert McPhee was one of our speakers at one of our events, and he brought us all a little button that said, I hug. And I was like, oh, finally a tool for me to let people know that I'm a hugger, right? And so I wore it all the time. And Robert told us the story of why he created the iHug button. He said, I went to a Jack Canfield Success Principles seminar in my suit and tie, ready to learn business. And the first thing Jack did was told us to hug as many people as we could. He said, there's 500-600 people in the room. And I was mad. He's like, I came here to learn business success. What does this hugging garbage have to do with it, right? And so, but he did it anyway, right? Like he kind of had to. He was in a crowd of people doing it, right? And he said, then I learned immediately what Jack had done. These uptight suits, stressed out, anxious people about finding success totally shifted their energy in the room. And they sat down and were ready to learn because they were relaxed and open to learning instead of the anxiety they were in when they came in the room. So it's an awesome exercise, and we're going to do that later. So Robert gave us these buttons, and I decided to make it a human experiment. And I started wearing it just everywhere I went. And what happened is people came to me across a crowded room, across a hotel lobby, on an airplane. I'd forget I was even wearing it on my lapel. And they would say, I hug too. And I'm like, you do? Do you need a hug? Yes. Okay. Just that simple, you know? So I started writing down the stories of that happening to me and what, just little snippets. I started researching what all of you wrote about the scientific value of hugs. I think mostly everything in my book right here, is scientific information from all of you that you've written in your books, complemented with my stories in my human experiment of seeing that. And it just goes on and on. I have done passion test workshops at a 55 and over club, which is very interesting, right? A whole different dynamic of people in retirement. And they come into the room and I give all my participants a hug. I've never met them before, but they come in, that's what we get. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I never get a hug anymore. They're often have lost a spouse, they are no longer employed, and they're all alone. And they need hugs. Lots of people need hugs out there that aren't getting them. Excuse me. So there I am at my B&I meeting with my free hug signs, and I've created stickers that look just like the pin. So I thought it was like I voted, you know, I hug. Cool. Right? People also sometimes see they don't see the words across the room, and they sometimes walk over to go, what does that say? Thug? I'm like, right. So I self-published the book in 2017. I have not done a good rollout of the book. I need all of your help with that. I think there's a man sitting right down here who's going to help me relaunch that book for me. Thank you, Raymond. Appreciate that. And I think it's a really great little coffee table book. So I'm not watching a timer, so somebody better clue me in on what I'm doing. Okay, so any given chapter is an inspiration. And so I think it would be great on chiropractic waiting room tables or dentists or what have you, right? So in 2019, a friend challenged me. So I remember I had this inspiration that I was supposed to iHug across America and help combat the 2020 election. And I told my friend about it. She said, what? Are you crazy? I'm like, I was thinking if I put myself in the space of the political arena, that maybe I'd get some press and be able to spread this message, right? So while I would hate political rallies, that's what I was going to do. And she's like, you are so naive. You can't go there. Someone will hurt you. I'm like, why would they hurt me? I'm 4'11", blonde little lady. I'm just hugging people, right? She's like, oh, she was so disgusted with me that I was going to get hurt. And so she calls me back a few weeks later, and she said, challenge on. Donald Trump is coming to Minneapolis. I live in Rochester, Minnesota, only an hour away to Minneapolis. I dare you to go hug people at the Trump rally. I said, challenge accepted. And so, wearing a little outfit like you just saw before, I was going up to the rally. Didn't have any intention of going in the rally, just being out around the rally where lots of people would be. And I told my B&I family this is what I was going to do, and everybody said, oh, that's so great. That's so awesome. We love what you're doing. This is so great. And I'm like, well, come with me. Like, I want more people. I want a little crowd of huggers going on, right? And they're like, no. We couldn't possibly do that. What, are you kidding? And a couple women said to me, well, we'll come along, but we're not hugging anybody. We're going to be your bodyguards. Bodyguards? What do we need bodyguards for? But I didn't care. Fine, if that's why you were going to come and I wasn't alone doing this thing. They came. My 2 children came, God bless them. They think their mother's crazy. But they stood back, probably about 10 feet away, and yelled, "Free hugs over here, free hugs here." And we did this for about an hour, and Minneapolis did a really cool thing. They separated the supporters from the non-supporters. And we found ourselves in the space of all the supporters. And I didn't even know it, right? And a few people were skeptical, but by and large, they came out of the line, they were standing and waiting, and they would give me a hug. And they would whisper sweet things in my ear. And they'd say, "This is so great. This is what we need right now. We're so glad you're here. This is awesome." And then one guy, after about an hour of this, said, "You got to go to the other side of the building. That's where the people are that are angry." And I'm like, "Angry? Who's angry?" So I went to the other side of the convention center, and they had the convention center fenced off so you couldn't get to the front doors, so they couldn't do any damage. People are wearing bandanas. This is November 2019, before they needed to, like they were bandits, blowing whistles and carrying signs that said, "Hate never made any nation great." And I thought, what? Then why are you acting in hate? I don't get it. But I didn't say anything to them. I just went with my signs. Some put their signs down and picked up mine. And guess what they said in my ear? "This is so great. We're so glad you're here. This is what we need right now." I'm like, "Hey, you're all saying the same thing. I don't understand why we're fighting," right? We all want the same thing in the end result. And so there's that general census of what the common message was through it. I must have been interviewed 12 times that night by media. And they would ask me one question and then stop talking to me. "Which party?" I said, "I'm not picking a party. That's not what this is about. This is about we can agree to disagree and still love and be kind to one another." And they go, "Oh, well, that's not going to sell." In the spring of that year, I announced this actually in January at the TLC when we were in Panama. And thank you for all of you who supported me with funding so that I could start to iHug Across America. Peggy Cappy, Sherry Clark. We went to a Pete Buttigieg rally. That was fun. I was interviewed by dozens of reporters there too, even Fox News. And he put the microphone down and he said, "Well, that's not going to sell, but I can tweet about it," and picked up his cell phone. I even talked to the MSNBC folks and said, "Okay, how do I get a good story on the news?" They're like, "You can't." That's what we're facing out there, right? That's what we're facing out there. So my mission is to get people involved and do more hugs and share hugs. It's just that simple. And so I want your help sharing that. I believe that 2024 is going to be worse than it was in 2020. And then there's still the aftermath. So it's not even just about the next 6 months, right? It's about well beyond that we need to flip the switch on this conversation and how we treat each other, as it's impacting everything in our world. So the iHug-Movement.com, I'm just asking you to share it with other people. Share it with your communities, right? Share the hug exercise with your communities. Talk about that. We have to spread this in the rest of the world. Instead of me trying to iHug Across America and do all kinds of things myself, I want ambassadors, or I haven't given them a good name yet. I need people though all over the country that are doing little hug events. And Huggies? I don't think Huggies would let me get away with that. Hugsters? I like that. I like that. So Zen encouraged me to create an app, right? And this is going to be the Hug-O-Meter. Thanks. This is going to be the Hug-O-Meter. So this is just a prototype of what we're working on. I'd love advice from anyone who uses an app. So I'm here to ask for support of helping me do this better. I'm so sad that Ocean canceled. He's got a medical issue going on, because I was so excited to learn about building a movement, right? So we'll keep working on that. This is a work in progress. You know, it will have huggers profiles. It'll have maps of where people are hugging. It'll have hugs and actions, photo gallery. I have an iHug store where now the icon that's on the button is on all kinds of apparel. Of course, the book is out there, etc. And then we have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, all that good stuff. And on the website, people can volunteer to lead hugs in their community. So again, share it with your community, which will help build the bigger community of huggers around the country and the world. So this is one of my favorite quotes that from Jack Canfield. We need 4 hugs a day for survival. We need 8 hugs a day for maintenance. We need 12 hugs a day for growth. And we need 16 hugs a day for transformation. I challenge you over the next few days to count the number of hugs that you get and that you give. By the way, that's one of the greatest things about hugs. Whenever you give one, you get one. Right? So cool. So Jack's going to show us his exercise. He's going to join me on the stage. And by the way, we didn't talk to each other about both wearing purple, but thanks, Jack, for wearing purple today with me. I appreciate that. And it's the difference in people that this extreme that you have to learn how to hug properly, right, Jack? This is one of our members, Mark Pletzer, and I'll either stand up on a stage to hug him or on steps, or if he'll kneel down so we can be at the same height.
Very good.
Take it away, Jack.
All right. I feel pretty loud. One of the things that is important about hugging is there's a lot of hugs that don't work. And so we're going to demonstrate together some hugs that do work that we can use as guidelines as we go through this together. And so one of the hugs that a lot of people do that doesn't work is called a hit and run hug. It looks like this. And there's another hug called half a chest is better than none. So you go like this. Or the hip hug, like me and you against the world, right? And then there's the burp the baby hug. Looks like this.
Somebody said to me today, thanks for not burping me.
There you go. See? I got cured of that. I was doing that at some seminar I was leading once. This woman started patting my head to make me aware of it. And she said, what you're doing is you're infantilizing the other person, making them non-dangerous when you do that, which I never thought of. It was quite interesting. There's one I won't demonstrate with. It's called the bear hug, the chiropractic adjustment hug, where someone hugs you so tight. And that's usually, I don't want to be vulnerable and soft, so I'm going to get really strong and hard to move on him. And the one I used to demonstrate before I threw my back out, most of you won't remember this, but there were these commercials for Prel shampoo back in the God knows when you were old enough. A few people were nodding their hand. And this woman would be running through the field and her hair would be going up and down because Prel shampoo gives you all that lift. And then she'd jump into the arms of her man and he'd twirl her around. And meanwhile, your back goes out, the woman's out of control. Doesn't really work. So don't pick anybody up, even if they're smaller. And
that's what people used to do to me all the time, because I'm smaller.
You hated it,
Pick
right?
me up, hated it.
Yeah. So when you're hugging someone shorter than you want to bend down, so you're reaching them shoulder to shoulder, neck to neck.
Heart to heart.
Yeah, otherwise, LuAnn's in my armpit. Which
I had some of those today, too.
You did. One other thing is, we know now, most of you are aware of this, you teach it, I'm sure. You want to hug left ear to left ear. When you do that, your heart is over the other person's heart. When you hug right ear to right ear, it's not. And I won't take the time to demonstrate that now, but if you want to, at some point I can do that for you. If I were to hug you right ear to right ear and muscle test you, your arm will go weak.
Oh, interesting.
Left ear to left ear, muscle test you, arm stays strong. So we know that when you're doing that, it's actually lowering the strength of the vibration of the two people between you. Interesting. Okay. Did I leave anything out that you think I should put in there?
Are we going to have them all hug?
We are.
Okay, good. So also forgot to mention that I have books for all of you, but as life would have it, they're not arriving till 10 o'clock tonight. So I'll give the books to you tomorrow so everybody has one. And you all have pins if you'd like them. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate you having me.
I did leave one thing out. One of the things is always an issue when people are hugging is, when is the hug over? You know? Because sometimes you hug somebody, like if I hug LuAnn, I could just stay there forever. There's several of you, I've had that experience. We just hug for a long time. And then other people start to go like, what's going on here? I feel captured. Is he coming on to me? I don't like this person that much. So basically, you just at the end of when you're done, and a lot of times you think I should be done. I don't want to be greedy, but give yourself permission to be in the hug as long as you want. And when you don't want to be hugging anymore, just give a little squeeze. Say, we're done. Now, if they don't back up, there's this move. Okay? So you could do that as well.
Okay, they say 20 seconds is the best. 20 seconds or more.
Yeah. My wife is not the 5 love languages, you all know about that,
Yeah.
right? So mine's nurturing touch. What? So we have different languages that we experience and express love in. So mine's nurturing touch. I love to hug. I love to be hugged. Inga, my wife, is quality time. She wants to talk and be listened to, basically. So when I go to hug her, she's like, eh. You know, I had to teach her count to 20 because it's not her natural language, right? And so what happens quite often in relationships, according to the people who wrote the book on the 5 love languages, we tend to be attracted to people often who have a different love language. So I'm saying I love you with touch, and you're going, well, why isn't he just listening to me talk, you know? Or why isn't he doing acts of service for me? Or why isn't he bringing me a gift? Or why isn't he doing, you know, whatever else the other languages are? So basically, sometimes you have to learn, if you're not a hugger, to do that for the people in your life that's important to. Sometimes your kids, sometimes it's people you work with, whatever. Okay?
Okay.
All right, well, here's what we're going to do. What? Question?
Are they silent?
Well, here's the deal. Normally, what I've been doing lately is called silent hugs.
Huh?
But you talked about the angel whispers, so I don't want to make that disappear. Here's what we might do. We'll hug for maybe 4 minutes, something like that. You know, walk around, hug as many people as you can get to, and still stay with the people as long as you want. And then maybe about halfway through the time, we'll say, do the rest of it silently. There's something very different about silent hugging because whenever people talk, in my experience, it gets louder and louder and louder and louder, and then it turns into conversations instead of people hugging each other. Does that make sense? So we'll do both, and we'll see how you feel
Oh,
about it.
that certainly happens around here. That louder and louder.
Yeah,
and louder.
exactly.
One more thing that someone today really held on to me, but what she said to me was, I'm wrapping my arms around you to know, for you to know that we're all here for you. So she explained, you know, her length of hug and why she was doing it, and it was real lovely.
Oh, sweet.
Really lovely.
Cool. Question?
Are threesomes allowed?
Are what?
Threesomes?
Hug-free zones?
No, hug threesomes. Three
Hug
people?
threesomes. Oh, I thought you said hug-free zone. You know, like, I don't want to hug anybody. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. 3 hugs. Tree hugs, free hugs, whatever. Where's Ivan?
Yeah, the tree hugger. That story's in the book too, so grab a book if you want to hear about Ivan as a tree hugger.
All right. Let's all stand up and go up to people, get as many hugs as you can, take as long as you want for each hug.